We're 10 games into the 2024-25 season. We're back inside the Axtrix Throwing Lounge here at the Danbury Ice Arena. Doug Lattuca with co-head coach and captain Jonny Ruiz. Jonny, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. The team 10 games in. It's been a little bit uneven thus far. A couple losses in a row. What are your overall takeaways from the first couple weeks of the year?
It's not all negative, really. We're battling. We're getting through some kinks. We're in it pretty much almost every game until a certain point. There's maybe like 5-minute lapse in between each period where we got to clean up, and it's just the little details we're not taking care of yet, and that's what's affecting us in a negative way.
And we spoke about it last week with Josh LaBelle, with Matt Voidy, about playing a full 60 minutes, consistency. How do you get the group to buy in and play that full stretch?
Well, it starts with practice, right? So we gotta buy into practice first the whole time we're out there. We took Monday off and got like a regroup or reset our minds. We went on a team hike and just to get away from the rink, and I thought that was a good reset, a good learning thing for all of us. We had very good talks when we were out there. We did this log thing where we carried a log up a mountain together, and we had to communicate. We had all pulled the same way. So those are just little steps to get back on track, really.
And how do you take something like a hike and turn it into success on the ice? Team building, bonding, things like that.
No, that's just exactly it. We want to come together as a family and a brotherhood, and stuff like that is good, especially to get away from the rink, to get away from the hockey part a bit, and everyone tack into their lives or whatever it is they're going through away from the rink to kind of reset. And so when we do come to the rink, we're all charged up, we're ready to go and ready to work together.
Some of the inconsistencies that we were talking about have led to just 3 wins through the first 10 games. What can you learn about the team during a bit of a tough stretch here, whether that is, chemistry-wise, getting the group back and implementing what you guys want to do? How do you get out of this rut? What can you learn from your group during some tough times?
Well, it's right there. It's learning, right? We got to learn about to go through this adversity that we're going through, and I think the adjustment that all of us have to make, whether you look at yourself in the mirror, we all do it as a whole. It's something we gotta, there has to be a switch there, and we gotta figure it out, but we gotta figure it out together.
And we spoke about this on the broadcast and around the building. It is a tough stretch schedule-wise through the first 13 games, 9 of them against Watertown and Binghamton, who happen to be the 2 top teams in the Empire Division. You have another opportunity this weekend to make up some ground on 2 teams that are ahead of you in the division. How important is it to stay afloat, grab a couple of points, and stay within striking distance of climbing up the standings? I know we are just 10 games in of a long 56-game schedule, but you don't want to fall behind, which is something that did somewhat happen last year with Binghamton's 30-point lead on you guys last year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is not to hit the panic button, right? We can't panic. We gotta stick to it together, and we just have to find ways to win. Whether you're blocking shots with your face, anything, you're battling, you're fighting. We gotta maybe get a little tougher. We gotta forecheck harder. We gotta just do it all together. That's the main thing right now is doing it together and staying on the same page, and I think we'll be good.
It doesn't seem like the compete level has been an issue, though. You guys have been in games, the majority of all the games, although it was a 4-0 final on Saturday, it was really a 2-0 game with about 5 minutes to go in the third period. For you guys, how do you get over the hump, get some of these losses, turn them into 1, 2, possibly 3 points?
I think you'd say we got to stay mentally charged, right? Mentally mature. We got to stay. We can't let outside noise affect us, because it clearly happened, Saturday's game where we're letting other things that we can't control affect us, and now it translates on the ice to things that we can control. So I think we just got to stay mentally tougher throughout the whole lineup.
We were talking a little bit about off camera about you physically, your body, how you're taking care of that. You had 2 physical losses last weekend. How is everybody in the room, both physically and mentally?
Well, we do yoga once a week. A good group does that. Ice baths, just taking care of your body, being a professional is really what we got to do. So us older guys, we might need to focus a little bit more on that. So we're ready to compete in practice, and we're charged and ready to go.
Special teams has been a big point of discussion in the early going. Last weekend was a bit of a stumble, 0 for 14 in those 2 games. The big discussion point last week when I spoke with Matt Voidy was using the power play as a momentum builder. Do you feel like it had the opposite effect this weekend in those 2 losses?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we got a man advantage. You got to find ways to score. We're getting chances, so we can't be too frustrated, but we got to, trust the process and put in the work during practice. So when we get in those situations in games, we can capitalize. Because, a lot of these games come down to special teams. Whether you're killing penalties off for 5 minutes straight, or you're going on the power play, you got to find ways to score. You got to find ways to prevent it from getting in your own net. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what Josh LaBelle was telling us. He did feel like the looks were there. It was just finishing, finding the back of the net, and capitalizing. Now you play Hudson Valley on Friday night, a team you went 5 for 11 on the power play in the first matchup. Is that a confidence boost, knowing that you have had success in the power play against this team in the past?
Yeah, it could be, but I'm pretty sure they're a completely different team right now. So they got new coaching staff, they got new everything. Seems like their guys are buying in, so we got to buy in a little bit more, and we got to compete a little bit more than they do.
What's the message to this team going into the weekend? Hudson Valley, a team that is on a surge since their coaching change, and then you got Binghamton once again here on Saturday.
We got to find a good turning point for us, and I think going into this weekend, that's our turning point. That's our main focus. Got 2 games, we want to get 6 points out of it, so it starts with that Friday night. We can't look to pass up on Hudson Valley and go straight to bingo, so we got to take care of what we have in front of us Friday night.
Does anything that happens in the stands, what happened last weekend, affect you guys the next day and the next day into practice? It might affect you in game, right? Just because you are in there and we saw you on the ice playing peacemaker between both the teams and the fans. Does that affect you guys, the room specifically, going into this week and knowing that you're playing the same opponent on Saturday?
I think a little bit, but like I said before, we got to be mentally tougher to block all that noise out. Whether it's you're trying to be the peacemaker or not, got to block it out because our jobs are on the ice. It's not in the stands, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to really focus on what we have in front of us on the ice. So
it's a short trip up to Newburgh, New York. You've made it once before. What was that initial trip like, and how do you anticipate it going again this weekend back on the road after you had 2 games at home last weekend?
I mean, it's a short ride, so really you don't have those bus legs. You're not sitting on a bus for hours at a time, so you feel more fresh, especially your legs going there. So we got a job to do. So it doesn't matter how far we're going. We gotta take care of the game.
Don't worry, we'll have the bus legs when we go to Wytheville. Maybe not Mississippi or any of those other longer ones. Might be picking up some air miles on that. For this weekend, Hudson Valley on Friday, that is in Newburgh, New York, then back here on Saturday for the Binghamton Black Bears. Again, 2 big games, 2 divisional games, very early on in the season, but a test for the team. So it starts with Friday. We won't even look ahead to Saturday, because why not? Friday night, you've beaten this team before. You beat them by 6 goals, but it is a completely different team. What do you look for right out of the gate, first 5 minutes? Maybe an opposite of what we saw the first time these teams met with the delay and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we want a hot start and we got to continue it, right? We can't maybe have a hot start, score first, and then let off the gas. We got to compete and keep going from start to finish.
Well, the Hat-Tricks will try to get off to a good start on Friday in Hudson Valley. We will have the call for you on the Hat-Tricks Digital Network, and check out everything at danburyhattricks.com and on our social media at Danbury Hat-Tricks.